Here's an amazing story from Jack Ma I found. He says, "Before I founded Alibaba, I invited 24 friends to my house to discuss the business opportunity. After discussing for a full 2 hours, they were still confused. I have to say that I may not have put myself across in a clear manner then. The verdict? 23 out of the 24 people in the room told me to drop the idea for a multitude of reasons, such as, you don't know anything about the internet, and more prominently, you do not have the startup capital for this, and on and on. There was only one friend who was working in a bank then who told me, if you want to do it, just try it. If things don't work out the way you expect it to, you can always revert back to what you were doing before." I pondered upon this for one night, and by the next morning, I decided I would do it anyway, even if all the 24 people opposed the idea. When I first started Alibaba, I was immediately met with strong opposition from family and friends. Looking back, I realized that the biggest driving force for me then was not my confidence in the internet and the potential it held, but more of this. No matter what one does, regardless of failure or success, the experience is a form of success in itself. You have got to keep trying, and if it doesn't work, you can always revert back to what you were doing before. Jack Ma is now worth around $20 billion. Keep in mind, this is from an idea that everyone advised him not to start. He had a decision to make. He could have listened to all of them and stayed on the path he was on, the safe route, so to speak. Or he could take a chance and risk failure. But as Jack alluded to, and as we've talked about before on the podcast, most quote-unquote risky opportunities don't actually have all that much risk. As his banker friend said, you can always go back to what you were doing. You can risk temporary failure for the chance to achieve permanent, enormous success. If you fail, you can always leave the temporary failure and return to whatever mediocrity you were living in. If you have a job, you can go find another. It's not overly complex. You're not giving up much by taking a chance at pursuing a goal. You're giving up everything by not taking the chance. Again, everyone told Jack he would fail, but he's the only one who told himself he'd succeed. Sometimes the hardest person to listen to is ourselves. You're the CEO of your life. You have the decision, and no matter what anyone else says, you get to decide whether you pursue your dreams or live like everyone else. Don't overcomplicate the pursuit of your goals and what the real risk is. It's riskiest not taking the risk. Jack Ma's risk paid him off with $20 billion and growing. Even if he had failed, he would have had a life experience that everyone else staying in the comfort of mediocrity would never have. As hard as it is to understand if you've never stepped out of your comfort zone, there's a level of happiness even in failure, knowing that you tried things others didn't, and took a shot at a goal others wouldn't. It teaches you things, and makes your life interesting. I've had plenty of failures, and I've got war stories from all of them. Each one has taught me something, and made my life more interesting. The times I haven't failed, well, I obviously haven't made $20 billion like Jack Ma has, but I've been financially rewarded for my successes at a level I wouldn't have been if I had remained on the quote-unquote safe route. The next time you have a decision to make, just remember these things. You are the CEO of your life. If you want an interesting life, which decision should you make? If you want a chance to achieve your goals, which decision should you make? You can always go back to the uninteresting life and the one that doesn't lead you to your goals later. But why not give yourself a chance? Remember, the riskiest route is not taking the risk.